It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in.
So for rental properties, I feel like for me, I'm more picky about my location when it comes to rental properties. With a personal property, your location is pretty much your preference. It's just like where you really see yourself being. Like you might think like, oh, who would want to live in a rural area? Some people actually do, like people with kids, people who want slower paced life, people who want large acres, maybe want to have like a farm, or people who want animals or stuff like that. You really do have a lot of choice when it comes to your personal property. And it's just really important to just look at kind of like what you want and what your needs are for that property, like your family needs, your economic needs, your job prospects kind of things. But with a rental property, the considerations are going to be very different. With a rental property, for me, the main things that I look at is how easily am I going to be able to get tenants? So the biggest expense when it comes to renting out a property is the vacancy cost. So like a lot of people don't realize that, like it's not even like maintenance, it's not even like, oh, your roof or this or that. It's really just those vacancy costs. Because what would you do if you had a $1,500 mortgage and you also had the mortgage on the place that you're living, and you didn't have a tenant in your rental property for 3 months? That's a lot of money. That's like, that's a lot, like $5,000 you're coming out of pocket every month, utilities, all of that for empty, vacant property. So vacancy costs are very expensive. And for example, for one of my properties that was vacant, it was vacant for about, I want to say about a month after I purchased it. And once the mortgage had to start being due, because you get like 45 days when you purchase a home before the first mortgage payment. So I'm like, within this 45 days, I'm going to secure a tenant. I did not. So I decided to rent it on Airbnb. I rented it on Airbnb, which was very, very lucrative. I made more than enough to pay the mortgage. And I'm just glad that I live in an area that allows you to Airbnb, because once again, one of those considerations, like what if you lived in an area that doesn't even allow that? Then you're trying to do stuff illegally. It can be a whole thing. I have heard of people living in Airbnbs and not leaving. So like some of those issues that you might think like you may not have to deal with as a landlord with short-term rentals, think again, because I did hear about that. Those Airbnb family that did not leave. And if you are illegally Airbnb, the county or the state you're in is not really going to have your back. Airbnb can't do nothing about that. So you're just kind of left for your own devices. So making sure you're looking at those regulatory requirements and making sure that you're aware that those vacancy costs can really add up. So for me, that's the biggest thing that I look at when I'm looking for a property. What is nearby? So population is huge. Like I said, I only invest in urban areas. I don't know about some other people's tactics of investing, but me personally, I think urban areas are ideal. If I were to invest in a smaller town, I would probably do it in a college town. That's another one. College towns are also very effective, even if they're small towns. I know the college town that I went to grad school in, it was very common for them to have like big homes, like single family homes that would be split in different bedrooms, and college students would all split, share the bedrooms, whatever. And for me, I thought that was really smart. And the homes were so cheap. You probably find a 3 or 4 bedroom home for under 200,000 or 150,000, whatever the case may be. So I felt like that was really lucrative. So even though that wasn't an urban area that was really bustling and really expensive, I felt like it was in a college town where you have a ton of college students coming from out of state all the time. And I kind of felt like that was really lucrative. But ideally, you want to be somewhere where you're near like an airport, a business campus. When I say a business campus, think like Amazon, think like Google, Apple, like somewhere near a business campus, somewhere near educational institutions. For me, I try to target educational institutions. When I purchased my first home in DC, I, being a former Howard grad, felt really well connected to the Howard University community. So for me, I felt like, okay, I live with roommates all the time, with Howard students all the time as roommates. I can just purchase a home and continue to do that.
Are you looking for a community of like-minded individuals and access to experts in real estate?
Yeah.
Are you interested in real estate but need more support and guidance?
You know who it is?
The Black Real Estate Dialogue presents the Real Estate Investing Community. No matter how much or how little real estate experience you have, we've created a community for you because your perspective is important. Alright, tell me, where's the number one place where you can do Q&A with experienced guest speakers 2 times per month? How about unlimited access to past guest speakers' recordings? What about a private Slack channel to engage in daily discussion with everybody in the community to share resources and support each other? Head on over to blackrealestatedialogue.com. That's blackrealestatedialogue.com. It's the real estate investing community presented by the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Come join us today.
So it was important for me to at least have a home that was within 20 minutes to the university so that I could attract those types of tenants. And then also, I know when I was going to purchase in Baltimore, that was my other consideration as well. I wanted to purchase downtown in Canton, a nice up and coming area next to bars, next to restaurants, and a quick drive from Johns Hopkins University, because I was like, that's where I feel like I can get a lot of young professionals, a lot of tenants. So for me, the biggest thing that I look at when I'm looking for a rental property is, where is my hub? What is my hub? Because it doesn't have to be an educational institution. A friend of mine was a flight attendant, and she stayed in I guess she rented out a place with other flight attendants in a house, and it was like a hub for American Airlines. So airlines have hubs. Like, I think, don't quote me on this, I don't know, but I could have sworn Delta's hub was like Atlanta or something like that. But airlines have different hubs, so you want to get into a hub where it's like a bunch of flight attendants, a bunch of pilots, a bunch of people are always coming to this town or city because it's a hub for this airline. Or, this business like Amazon is coming. There are going to be a ton of people that are going to need housing. Or the university is expanding and there are going to be a ton of people who are going to need housing. Just different factors like that, for me, I think are really good things to look at. I would always say, just always focus on being close to some type of hub so that you can at least target you have some target audience, especially if you're renting. And I feel like a lot of people don't consider renting like a business, but I feel like you should. Just like you would be running any other business, you want to make sure that you have a target audience for your product. Your product is housing. So if you purchased a rental property in the middle of nowhere with no amenities, no nothing, who are you going to really be able to market that product to? So for me, I feel like I always create my target audience before I decide on a property, because that's just how it goes with that. And that kind of goes hand in hand with like job prospects, like I mentioned, like being next to like a big factory or being next to a business campus or something like that, where you feel like a lot of people are going to be working there. In DC, I like DC because, one, it's the nation's capital. So for me, I just felt like it was a very safe market to invest in. It was the nation's capital, and DC is only so big. So DC is a very, very small city. And I just feel like it's a lot of politics. Every 2 years with Congress, every 4 years with the White House, you have an entirely new administration coming in. You have dozens, hundreds of new people, staff, journalists coming in every 2 to 4 years. So for me, I just felt like this city was really safe. Also, I learned when I was younger, during the 2008 recession, that the DMV, like DC, was kind of untouched from the recession. It was a huge recession going on, and I remember still seeing developments and buildings being built, and it just was, there were a lot of government workers here. So in any recession, government workers are still going to get paid because the government is always going to pay their bills. So for me, I just kind of felt like DC was a place to be. My first property in DC, I actually paid $100,000 more so that I could be in a specific zip code. And I could have literally purchased a bigger property, maybe a 5 to 10 minute drive, for $100,000 less. And I decided not to do that because I was like, I really, really want to be in DC. I think that my familiarity with the DC area also helped, because I'd lived in so many different parts of the DMV, which DC, Maryland, and Virginia is sometimes called the DMV. I lived in so many different parts of it that I knew like what little pockets were not suitable for a commuter. I knew what little pockets were not suitable for a Howard student commuting. You know, I just kind of had that knowledge. So I felt like it helped me being able to be like, all right, Pennsylvania Avenue coming from Maryland is awful. It's going to be so hard to find people to want to live there. Just different things I considered me personally. So it might have seemed crazy. And as I think back on it, I can't even believe I was able to make that decision because I had not a lot of real estate experience at all. But I definitely did pay a bunch more money to be in a specific zip code, but it ended up really paying off at the end. And I actually shared this on the podcast with Sam, episode 78. Check it out. Definitely check out my story. I shared how I was able to secure my first real estate property and how it went up $150,000 in value. And that is not a lie. I say it on Instagram all the time. People think I'm lying. Someone once said it was like, oh, that sounds predatory. Like, no. It really, really did. So definitely location can really be the make or break factor for your property, especially if you're not only trying to rent, but if you're trying to build equity so that you can invest in other properties.
Hi everyone, Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.